talk a lot about social media and what you should post, what you shouldn't post, but I've never discussed the different platforms and how to be successful on the different platforms. So I thought I'd discuss that today. Every platform has a majority audience that you can speak to and actually create, just like you have a unique follow-up process for each of your lead providers and the sources where you draw your opportunities from. You should absolutely have a different strategy based on the social media platform. And you can repurpose some content that you already have made for one platform, and you can repurpose it for another one with just a little bit of editing. But if you're talking about Facebook, who's on Facebook? What's the audience there? So it's largely Gen X that's on that audience. And that's my generation. So we don't really, we grew up pretty much on our own. We were making our own breakfast by the time we were 3 years old. We were driving ourselves to school by the time we were 6. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. We were pretty independent. And we found solutions, when we needed to. It was kind of survival of the fittest out there in Gen X world. So your videos on Facebook that are geared towards Gen X need to be towards solving the issues of time, solving the issues of expedience, of bringing the best value for their money, things like that. What I mean by that is, for a service department, you need to talk about how quick you can get someone in and out of the service department. If you pick up and drop off the car, things like that actually speak to what's valuable to that particular generation. Making them feel valued, making them feel like you appreciate them as a customer. That's sending them, coupons and specials and deals. But also in your video content, it really needs to be speaking to specifically what hurt you're going to solve for them. So as you go over into Instagram, you have a little bit of Gen X, you have a little bit of Gen Y and the millennials. And it's more of using mobile to really find the solutions they need to find. So if that's buying a car, if you have a digital retailing tool and you have an online process for buying a car, whereas you deliver the car, you need to speak to that and what the value is to them on that. That no matter what generation is, the value is time, right? That's the biggest commodity that really no one wants to trade in. But no one really speaks to that, the efficiency of time and how we can solve taking, are you sick of waiting in a dealership for 4 hours before they find out you're not approved for a car loan? Come see us. We'll pre-approve you before you ever walk in the door, tell you what your options are, and then have you leaving, once you arrive at the dealership, have you leaving in your new car in an hour or less. Or, we give you, I don't know, we give you $100. Something like that, that really speaks to that generation, really speaks to the appreciation of their lack of desire of wanting to come into a dealership. That's like the number one thing when you look at any millennial or Gen Y polls. It's they don't want to step foot in a dealership. They'd rather get a root canal twice than set foot in a dealership. So that's something you're going to have to overcome. Now, when you're talking about younger generations, as we get younger and younger in generations, you really need to double down on mobile. Anything to do with mobile apps, anything to do with how they can start, continue, and complete the entire purchase on their mobile phone is the sole purpose in their life. A lot of the younger generations don't even have laptop computers, or definitely don't have desktop computers. Everything is done through their phone. So you need to make sure that your website is set up in a way that it can be easily navigated on and easily what they want to do easily executed on a cell phone. And then as you get even younger, you're down into the kids who are in their 20s right now, who are navigating through college, maybe just graduated, things like that. And you're looking at TikTok and you're looking at Snapchat and platforms such as that. It really becomes all about, and I hate to say this, it sounds really bad, but just being the subject matter expert, but in a way that's entertaining. If that, like, informational but entertaining. So you have to do these little bite-sized pieces of information that doesn't sound like a message, but is a message, if that makes sense. But you have to deliver it in a way that's super entertaining. My friends over at Valley High Toyota do a fabulous job of this. My friends over at Casa Auto Group in in El Paso do a fabulous job of this. Valley High is in Southern California. So if you want to look at some accounts and see, okay, what are they doing? And I talk about him a lot, but Mopar Brody is on TikTok, and he's got a huge following on all the social media platforms, but especially on TikTok. And he's talking about the car. You know, he's going and doing walkarounds on cars, but it's funny, it's entertaining. Same thing with Casa and Valley High. We know what they do. They bring an entertainment value to it. And that's why they have the number of followers they do. But you really have to step up the quality of the content. Now, whether you want to hire someone to do that or whether you want to do that in-house, that's your prerogative. But just don't half-ass it. Like, I see a lot of GMs and owners like, well, I don't need to hire someone to do social media. That's ridiculous. I can do it. Let me just be frank with you. No, you can't. No, you cannot do it. Because if you could do it, if you had the time, energy, effort, again, to do it, you'd already done it. But the fact that you are saying that I can just do it myself, you don't understand the amount of time that it takes to not only record a video, but to edit it, to put it down to the different social media platforms to make it make sense for each platform, for each generation. So my recommendation, if you don't already have a social media presence, if you don't already have a following, and I'm talking 1,000 followers or more that actively engage with your content every time you post. So you have 1,000 followers, but nobody interacts with your content. You don't have an engagement level. You have 0. You're starting at 0. So you have to measure it. Anybody you get after. So let's say you have 1,500 followers, but nobody engages with your posts. You need to change your content strategy, and you need to mark number 1 follower after this 1,000 followers. That's your first actual follower. So, because you're just getting people who, you know, you're pressuring them when you come into the dealership, hey, like or follow us, and they'll like or follow. And then they'll hide your notifications and they won't see anymore because you put up boring shit. So start really coming up with a strategy that's entertaining and that has value add for consumers based on the platform, and you'll start getting more engagement. Now, back to my original statement, I really strongly believe there are experts out there within this field that do extraordinarily well with posting and getting and editing and everything else with social media content. And I'm not saying you should hire one permanently, but what I am saying is you could hire one to come in once a quarter and get enough original organic content and plenty of B-roll to kind of spread that out evenly between all your platforms. So if you can make that investment where someone comes out 4 times a year to your dealership and gets tons of content, tons of B-roll, and is able to spread that evenly through the next 90 days, that would be a good plan. That would be a good strategy. If you want to get someone to come out and teach you about how to post, what to post, when to post, all that kind of stuff and strategy, I would absolutely encourage that. There's plenty of people out there that do that. If you need advice on which ones to seek the information for and which ones to avoid, I'm happy to help you. DM me anytime. And as always, if you need to brainstorm or you need to have a think out loud session, which I love, on social media strategy, do's and don'ts, anything like that, I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching. Happy selling.